Well, hi there, folks. Welcome to the program. This, of course, is Stinchfield, the podcast. Great to be along with you. I've got a warning for you. You know, we talk about leftist violence, and leftist violence is most certainly a very real thing. In fact, I'm saying the Democrat Party ought to be labeled a terrorist organization with the amount of chaos and violence and the amount of just death that it unleashes on America. You've got leaders of the Democrat Party calling for violence. You've got members of it carrying out that violence against conservatives. But do not forget about Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda is still a threat to the United States. We're now seeing the Joint Terrorism Task Force, this Joint Terrorism Threat Assessment Center, issuing a warning that Al-Qaeda is calling for attacks on U.S. soil. This is specifically Al-Qaeda in Yemen on the Arabian Peninsula, saying, attack American citizens with knives. Attack Americans with your vehicles. Create suicide vests. Go to hospitals. Go after law enforcement. Go where people gather. All of this is frightening. And then this comes the same week that this Al-Jolani character, this guy that had a $10 million bounty on his head as one of the big-time leaders of Al-Qaeda that was killing American soldiers, is now the president of Syria. And the U.S. is buddying up next to this guy. His name was Al-Jolani. Now he goes by Al-Sharaa. You can change your name all you want. I don't believe that you change your ideology. So we're going to talk about this threat that America faces. Why is this guy invited on the U.S. soil to address the United Nations? Why is he here addressing the United Nations? I think he's a dangerous man, and I have proof that he is a dangerous man, and I will play you some of that proof. People don't change, folks, when it comes to this stuff. They really don't. You can claim they're going to change, but they don't change. All right, with that, let me tell you, folks, about my friends over at the Wellness Company. TWC.health/grant is where I want you to go. This is one of their prescription medication kits. If you don't have one, you are not prepared for any emergency. Ivermectin in this kit. You got Z-Pak in this kit, amoxicillin, so many other drugs that are so important. But I want you to go to the Wellness Company to check out their Spike Detox, to get that spike protein out of your system. I want you to go there to check out the Parasite Cleanse. This is a detox of the body. Get rid of ringworm, roundworm, all of these parasites that millions of Americans are affected by, and you may not even know it, but it's causing bloating. It's causing brain fog, causing your digestive tract to be all screwed up. TWC.health/grant. Use the promo code GRANT for 10% off, and I promise you, you're not going to regret it. You're going to love it, in fact, and you're going to feel better because of it. All right, folks, let's get the show started.
Uncensored and unapologetic. This is Stinchfield. Here's your host, Grant Stinchfield.
All right, thank you so much for joining me. I've got this terror alert. Before we talk about Al-Jolani, I want to go through this terror alert that we're seeing here. This comes directly from the Joint Counterterrorist Assessment Team, okay? Now, remember, we had at least 2 million known gotaways come into the United States. If just a handful of them are Al-Qaeda terrorists, ISIS terrorists, Boko Haram terrorists, just a handful, they could do tremendous damage to us. So now I am hearing from friends of mine inside Homeland Security that the threat is now very real and it's being ramped up. This war on the West, I know we have a problem with the Democrat Party and it waging war on conservatives and Americans. Add in the threat of Al-Qaeda now. I want you to look at this. Al-Qaeda's resurgence of calls for attacks in a homeland highlights its persistent and enduring threat to the country. U.S. officials and public safety. Al-Qaeda and its Yemen-based affiliate, Al-Qaeda, the Arabian Peninsula, AQAP as it's known, is the only affiliate to have successfully enabled an attack on the homeland. They are likely seeking to leverage their media publications in global conflicts, particularly where the U.S. supported military involvement, to inspire potential attackers. Now, in July of this year, just a couple months ago, they released an English language Inspire guide that spells out how you should go about attacking the U.S. homeland. They talk about using Molotov cocktails, improvised explosive devices, use, of course, firearms, knives, vehicle rammings, all of this, and it goes through it in great detail on how to attack America. These calls for attacks are now apparently ramping up. To me, we've got to keep our eyes open. They're talking about government officials being in the crosshairs, law enforcement officers, hospitals. They specifically name Trump administration officials like the Secretary of Defense, like President Trump himself and J.D. Vance. They talk about hoaxes using swatting to go after American citizens and exploit large crowd events. That's no secret. We know that terrorists love to go after large crowd events like they did at the Boston bombing. So I'm calling on you to stay awake here. Look alive as we go through this. Then we get word that this Al-Jolani is speaking at the United Nations. I'm not going to play you a clip from him because it's not in English, and I didn't translate it. Al-Jolani was an Al-Qaeda higher-up in Iraq that waged great war against the United States, killed American citizens. This guy had a $10 million bounty on his head, okay? And I can show you that. This is the guy they call Al-Jolani. Stop this terrorist, Muhammad Al-Jolani. Up to $10 million reward. That's from the U.S. Embassy in Syria, going back a ways. Now today, we've got Marco Rubio shaking hands with him. President Trump shaking hands with him. He is now being looked at as a statesman, as a world leader, because he's the president of Syria, which, by the way, happens to be an absolute shithole. You cannot, there is nobody in Syria that you can trust. There is no such thing as a moderate rebel group. The groups that overthrew Bashir al-Assad, which is led by this Al-Jolani, who now goes by Al-Sharaa, these are dangerous people. Now, General Petraeus this week, you remember General Petraeus. He was the leader of CENTCOM. So he was instrumental in the war on terror. This Al-Jolani, Jalwani, was an enemy of the United States. And I see General Petraeus sit down with this guy on stage and show such concern and compassion over his well-being. And I ask myself, how in the world are you concerned about a terrorist who had a $10 million bounty on his head, General?
So this next one is about you personally. How are you holding up under all this pressure? Are you getting time to do some thinking? Are you getting enough sleep at night? Again, I've been there, and it is so very, very hard. And your many fans, and I am one of them, we do have worries.
Many fans, and you're one of them. He killed your men, General. This was a guy who literally was killing American citizens, that was calling for the beheadings of Americans, calling for the suicide bombers to go on the warpath against Americans. In fact, I found a video of him doing just that, going back, I think this was only 10 years ago. Now, you're going to have to be watching on Rumble. I'll try to read it as we go.
حتى لا نعين الشيطان عليه وهذا من الواجبات التي أيضا ملقاة على عاتقكم أنتم مفتاح المعركة
You are the key to the
نحن
battle.
سنقول لهم لا بصوت
We will
عالي
tell them
بلغة
no in a
أخرى
loud voice, in
بالقنابل
another language, with bombs, with car bombs, with machine guns, with rifles, with suicide bombers, with all the strength and energy we possess.
وسيعلم أعداؤنا
And
أعداء
our
الله
enemies of God Almighty,
أن
will
خيارنا
know that our
العسكري
military
هو
operation
رأس مالنا
is our capital,
الذي نحن لا نستغني عنه أبدا
that we will never let go of.
لا نستغني عنه أبدا
We will never let
نتوقف
go of it.
كاستراحة مجاهد حتى
We will
نكسب
stop.
أنفسنا ونجهز.
We are jihadists. You hear that? We are never let go of it. We prepare ourselves for battle. He ends with it. This is the guy who's now addressing the United Nations on a world stage as a leader. Instead of military garb, he's now in a suit and tie, the president of Syria, with people shaking his hand. To me, it is frightening. Tulsi Gabbard talked about Syria.
They expressed a question. They said, why is it that the United States, its allies, and other countries are providing support, are providing arms to terrorist groups like al-Nusra, Al-Qaeda, Arar al-Sham, ISIS, who are on the ground there raping, kidnapping, torturing, and killing the Syrian people, children, men, women, people of all ages.
All those people that she just mentioned, those terror groups, the now president of Syria was buddy-buddy with, and I think still is. There are the most horrific videos that I'm not going to play for you of people that I believe were ordered to do this by this now leader of Syria to kill medical professionals on their knees in hospitals, killing them in Syria. All of these groups in Syria are very bad news. They talk about, moderate rebels. No such thing of a moderate rebel in Syria.
They asked me, why is the United States and its allies supporting these terrorist groups who are destroying Syria when it was Al-Qaeda who attacked the United States on 9/11, not Syria? I didn't have an answer for them.
Obviously, the United States government denies providing any sort of help to the terrorist groups that you're talking about. They say they provide help for the rebel groups. Tell us more about...
The reality is, Jake,
Yeah.
The reality is, and I'm glad you brought up that point, because this is an often talked about thing by people like Adam Kinzinger and others saying, well, we've got to support the moderate rebels. Every place that I went, every person that I spoke to, I asked this question to them. And without hesitation, they said, there are no moderate rebels. Who are these moderate rebels that people keep speaking of? Regardless of the name of these groups, the strongest fighting force on the ground in Syria is al-Nusra or Al-Qaeda and ISIS. That is a fact. There's a number of different other groups. All of them essentially are fighting alongside, with, or under the command of the strongest group on the ground that's trying to overthrow Assad. The Syrian people recognize, and they know, that if President Assad is overthrown, then Al-Qaeda or a group like Al-Qaeda that has been killing Christians, killing people simply because of their religion.
You hear what she said. Now, this goes back to when Tulsi Gabbard was in Congress. Now she's in the intelligence community with, of course, President Trump. But this goes back to when she was in Congress on the Foreign Intelligence Committee, Foreign Affairs Committee. She says they're all bad groups that are trying to overthrow Assad. Whoever overthrows Assad, Al-Qaeda, will be in control. You think it's a coincidence that this Al-Jolani guy, Sharaa, is now in charge? He is Al-Qaeda. And now he's addressing the United Nations, which gets to me how bad the United Nations is. But honestly, I don't even really want to see Americans shaking hands with him. Now, I couldn't believe it, but even Sky News spelled out who this guy is.
He was a guy who in the 2000s, I think it was 2003, 2004, was imprisoned in Iraq. He was a jihadist fighter in his early 20s in Iraq and was sent to prison trying to kill American soldiers there. And yet now, all these years later, he finds himself in New York City as the president of Syria. Quite an extraordinary journey. You know, this
Extraordinary journey. Well, I guess that's a nice way of saying it. I'll say it's a pretty damn effed up journey that we're now welcoming this guy. So, and you combine that with the terror threat, I don't think it's a coincidence that we're seeing an up in Al-Qaeda terror threats as this guy comes to U.S. soil. Really? Not a chance. Is that a coincidence? This is by design. Al-Qaeda is here on U.S. soil. Do not forget about that. And do not forget about everything happening. Now, remember, there was this terror plot to take down telecommunications that was basically thwarted as well by investigators. We'll talk about that a little bit. And then, of course, leftist violence, too, which is completely out of control. Before we do that, I want to tell you about my friends over at NFN8. This is the website get20now.com, get20now.com. The reason it's called get20now.com is you can lock into 20% interest rate annualized on your investment. I have made a sizable investment in this. It's about Bitcoin mining. I am taking part in the Bitcoin craze without the wild risk, without the ups and downs. I have locked in to my interest rate, and I get a check deposited. In fact, just yesterday or the day before, I got a check deposited into my account, as I do every month. I've been involved with this company for about a year now. They have completely lived up to their promises to me, and I could not be happier. Get20now.com. You fill out the form. They will get right back with you. Talk to them about this. There's some tax benefits to this as well. They can talk to you about this. So if you want to lock in to 20% annualized interest up to, this is the place for your money. I mean, you can't beat this, really. Get20now.com. That's get20now.com. You tell them Grant sent you, and you're going to like these guys because they think like us, too. All right. So this telecommunications threat, I believe there's a possibility that you've got China working with the likes of Russia through Venezuela and Mexico and the narco terrorists and cartels, as well as Al-Qaeda, ISIS, all coming together as one giant evil force. The reason I believe this is because there is coordination. We saw it during the Biden administration's open borders that the cartels were helping jihadi terrorists come through the border. We know the cartels were helping China come through the border. We know they all have a common goal: upend the United States of America. So we saw this threat of these servers, hundreds of thousands of SIM cards and servers, creating a ring around the New York area that could have launched a cell phone attack, basically a service attack, meaning they would have flooded the system with cell phone calls to shut everything down. Well, a guy that interviewed Osama bin Laden, his name's John Miller. He went to work for law enforcement for a little while. He's now the CNN expert on these kinds of things. He's a Democrat. He's a left-winger. I don't really like this guy. I used to like him. I don't like him anymore. But he spelled out what was stopped, and it goes into this threat assessment that we've just seen. I think all of this is connected, and I think our foreign enemies are also connected with the Al-Qaeda threat that we're hearing about.
So this is quite an amazing story, and nothing like we've seen before. But the Secret Service, investigating these swatting calls, traced these phone signals down to a number of locations in basically a circle, a 35-mile donut around New York City.
All right, so let me explain what was happening. This group was swatting government officials. Now, what was spelled out when I told you about the Al-Qaeda threat and the guidebook? To swat government officials. So the Secret Service is investigating those squatting, and they come with these cell phone numbers that they now start to see. And when they go to raid the houses where the cell phones are coming from, this is what they find.
And when they hit these apartments, they found 300 servers connected to 100,000 SIM cards. This machinery was able to, on command, put out 300 million phone calls within 12 minutes. What does that mean? What that means is it could have flooded the cellular systems with volume, basically a denial of service attack that would have made other calls not able to get through. And when you try to trace that back to who's behind it, with 100,000 SIM cards, that's 100,000 different phone numbers you're trying to sort through to figure out, well, which ones do we block? It would have been a stunning attack, but there's something more behind this, because as they started to examine who some of those SIM cards, they've got a lot to go through with 100,000, have been communicating with. They found foreign agents from hostile foreign powers, including China. Talking to criminal organizations, including Mexican drug cartels, along with swatters, along with terrorist organizations. So whoever built this network of hubs was either a hostile foreign power or some criminal genius who decided to give them a massive switchboard with incredible power.
I believe it was a combination of all of those things. And so, you know, when you hear John Miller spell this out, what's amazing to me is when I was in mainstream television, and you go back to, I got into television in 1994, I guess. So, you know, what are we looking at? 30 freaking years of television through 2000, through 9/11. This story would have been huge. This would have been the front page of every paper. This would have been the lead story on every newscast, and it got nothing. See, there's a move on the left, and we know that the media either controls the left or is controlled by the left. I told you, I actually believe the media calls the shots on the Democrat Party. But so either way, they're combined. The media covers for radical Islam now. I told you I believe America is under attack. There is an Islamic holy war going on in America. It's a takeover job. That's what they want to do. They want to take over America. And the mainstream media covers for them. Okay? They do interviews like this with Ilhan Omar, the jihadist in Congress.
A lot of conservatives in particular would say that the rise in Islamophobia is a result not of hate, but of fear, a legitimate fear, they say, of quote-unquote jihadist terrorism, whether it's Fort Hood or San Bernardino or the recent truck attack in New York. What do you say to them?
I would say our country should be more fearful of white men across our country, because they are actually causing most of the deaths within this country. And so if fear was the driving force of policies to keep America safe, Americans safe inside of this country, we should be profiling, monitoring, and creating policies to fight the radicalization of white men.
Yeah, the radicalization of liberal, left-wing, leftist white men who embrace communism, like the guy that we saw shoot at ICE agents yesterday in Dallas. Yeah, they're radicalized white men. They're all Democrats. And this guy from Al Jazeera, which is a main, you know, as crazy as it sounds, it is a main television network on the global stage. There's no pushback, but why would they be? They're run by jihadists as well. At least that's the accusation. So you got Al Jazeera, you got Ilhan Omar, you've got the mainstream media that refuses to cover real stories as they radicalize white men to go and attack American citizens through rhetoric like this, by the way.
We might call this getting strike ready. I think of it as getting us strike ready or street ready. And part of that is understanding our own strength. And as
strike ready or street ready, what do you think that means? Strike ready, street ready, to me means we're getting ready to fight. Hey, Atkash Patel over at the FBI, are you seeing this from Jayapal? Strike ready, street ready, that's telling people, go do it.
we develop that strength, being able to assess our risk tolerance, because we know that risk tolerance increases as the severity of the situation increases and as our own understanding of what's happening increases. So overall, the more we understand what's effective, what the risks are, and who's ready to participate, the more impact we can have.
Yeah, impact. Like killing American citizens, like Charlie Kirk, like trying to kill President Trump, like all the transgender school shootings that we're seeing. They want to eradicate us. I'm convinced of it now. Again, the Democrat Party is a terror organization until you get leaders of the Democrat Party denouncing the terror attacks on American citizens, the assassination culture we're seeing from the Democrats on conservative Americans. As long as members of the Democrat Party are carrying out this violence, how do you not call it a domestic terror organization? That's what I used to say about Black Lives Matter. It's what we know is true about Antifa. This idea of waging a terroristic war against conservatives is now mainstream, and it's coming straight from the Democrats. I don't know how else to explain it, but it is. Here's Jay Pritzker, the governor of Illinois.
How do you prove to somebody that you're a U.S. citizen? Your accent? The color of your skin? That's not the country we live in. You know, you shouldn't have to walk around with papers the way that they did in the early days of Nazi Germany.
Nobody's being stopped and being asked for papers, by the way. And again, he brings up Nazi Germany. Why do you think he does that? To create all of us to look like Nazis so it's okay to kill us. Now, when an illegal who they don't have a warrant for is arrested, 9 times out of 10, if not more, it's because they are in a home where there's a wanted illegal. They go in and get the wanted illegal, and there's 10 people there with them. Now you're guilty by association. You check because you have a duty to do that. You have reasonable suspicion to believe that they're here illegally too because they're living with an illegal alien, harboring a wanted fugitive, which these are the people they're going after. So you check their immigration status. If they're not here legally, then Customs and Enforcement, ICE, Immigration's Customs Enforcement, has a duty to arrest them. But Pritzker's not going to tell you that.
To prove that you belong and that you're not one of them. And that is essentially the kind of country that we're becoming if you allow ICE to simply grab people after racial profiling.
It's not what happens. They're not just grabbing people. Everyone is a target of theirs. Everyone has a order from the court that they have been found to have deportation orders. And then when they get arrested without them, they come back in and they go before a judge there as well, 9 times out of 10. So what you're getting from them is lies. I always wondered, J.B. Pritzker, that family's billionaires, okay, the Pritzker family. He's so dumb. It had to have been his family, right? Because he's not smart. And I'm like, they became billionaires, and he's the governor of the state of Illinois, and they're not smart. But that's where they are. All right. Hey, you know, I love the idea of Bitcoin and making money off of Bitcoin. I've told you now about the cryptocode.com/grant. This is a low-risk trading bot with a 93% success rate, okay? And you install it and you go to sleep, and it trades for you a small amount, and the risk is low. Now, they can't guarantee results, obviously. The Federal Trade Commission says, hey, you know, you got to try this out and make the decision for yourself. But I'm telling you, from the folks that I've talked to, from the research that I've done on this, it is worth a shot. The cryptocode.com/grant. Go to their website. You can sign up for a webinar on this. Most of these trading bots, they charge you thousands upon thousands of dollars. That is not the case with the Crypto Code. Okay, this is a very affordable option to trading bots. And this one, their numbers show a story that's nothing short of amazing. The cryptocode.com/grant. Go sign up for the webinar. Look at the back end of this. Look at the inside of this. They'll tell you directly how they're doing it and how you can institute this to make some, you know, what do you call it? A side hustle, an investment, whatever you want to call it, but it's more money coming into your pocket. You don't have to do anything. I love it. thecryptocode.com/Grant. Thecryptocode.com/Grant. All right, I got good news. James Comey is now on the hot seat. We are getting closer and closer. Within the next 5 days, we could see an arrest warrant served on James Comey for lying to Congress. This idea that he committed perjury before Congress while under oath is clear to me that he did. So who broke this news? Well, who do you think broke this news? My buddy John Solomon.
We're also getting reports that some accountability may be taking shape for one of the most high-profile figures in the Russia collusion hoax, former FBI Director James Comey. Multiple sources confirming to Just the News that the Justice Department is in the final stages of deciding whether to seek a federal grand jury indictment in the Eastern District of Virginia, accusing Comey of giving false testimony back in September 2020 when he denied that he had authorized leaking any classified information. Now, this indictment is based on some documents that Just the News, if it happens, and remember, the indictment hasn't been handed up yet, but if it were to happen, it's based on documents we made public back in August that show the federal prosecutors had evidence that Comey did indeed authorize the leaks of classified information, while one of those was confirmed by his former chief counsel. That's a pretty big deal. One of Comey's other advisors was recently subpoenaed by federal prosecutors in that criminal probe, so activity is ramping up. The deadline for the statute of limitations is next Tuesday, so if they're going to bring those charges, it's going to have to happen between now and next Tuesday. All signs are, though, that the prosecutors are heading towards a possible request for an indictment. We'll see if the grand jury hands it up.
Wouldn't that be great? The grand jury has to. Because I can play for you clips of him lying. Clips literally like this.
Do you stand by your House testimony on March 20th that there was no surveillance of the Trump campaign that you're aware of?
Correct.
You would know about it if they were, is that correct?
I think so, yes.
Okay.
So, again, that is a flat-out bogus lie, okay? We know that there were leaks. We know that there was surveillance against the Trump team, and we now know from emails that it certainly looks like James Comey knew about this as well, that he knew the Trump campaign was being surveilled. So that's a lie. Then you've got this lie.
Director Comey, have you ever been an anonymous source in news reports about matters relating to the Trump investigation or the Clinton investigation?
Never.
Question 2 on relatively related. Have you ever authorized someone else at the FBI to be an anonymous source in news reports about the Trump investigation or the Clinton investigation?
No.
So this is interesting because what we've now learned is there was an operation that he put in place to work with the New York Times. He literally had agents directed to work with the New York Times on these stories. So we now know he was lying there.
Has any classified information relating to President Trump or his associates been declassified and shared with the media?
Not to my knowledge. There have been a variety of leaks. Well, leaks are always a problem, but especially in the last 3 to 6 months. Look, this was terrible. It makes me mildly nauseous to think that we might have had some impact on the election. But honestly, it wouldn't change the decision. Everybody who disagrees with me has to come back to October 28th.
Oh, shut up. I don't care anything that he has to say other than the fact that he said, no, he wasn't an anonymous source. No, he didn't work with the news media. No, he didn't direct people to work with the news media. All of that is a 100% lie. James Comey, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. You should have known better. You were a law enforcement agent. The moment Chuck Grassley asked you that question, you needed to have taken the Fifth Amendment. You needed to. And you would have been well within your rights to. It would have been disastrous for you because everyone would have known now that you're guilty and what you did. But you wouldn't be facing charges. And I think it's not just James Comey. We've got to look at Tapper. We've got to look at John Brennan, these intel guys that were so instrumental in leaking stuff about President Trump. This is the season of retribution. And when the season is born, James Comey is going to be the first on the list. I hope there are many more, because when you break the law, you got to be held accountable. Unlike Joe Biden, let's go after people for not breaking the law and let's frame them. One is a dictatorship. One is a banana republic. And the other is actually living up to the founder's vision and the Constitution. So, James Comey, look out, brother. You're going to be in deep, deep, deep trouble. Oh, let me tell you about my friends over at Patriot Mobile. Why are you with the big three cell phone companies? They're literally doing everything they can to ruin America with the woke policies, the DEI nonsense, funding places like Planned Parenthood. But if you get with Patriot Mobile, you get America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. And if you use my promo code GRANT at patriotmobile.com/grant, you'll get a free month service, which is a big savings. So just call Patriot Mobile at 972-PATRIOT, 972-PATRIOT, and do what I did. Make the switch. In fact, my phone has 2 networks, 1 phone. So I have 2 lines on this phone. No cell phone company can do this because you choose what network you want to be on, but you don't pay the woke cell phone companies. You go with Patriot Mobile, and you know that a portion of the proceeds they make from your cell phone service are going to fund an agenda that's conservative, that's moving us in the right direction, that supports conservative causes. This is what I love about Patriot Mobile. If you're still with the other cell phone companies, I'm going to ask you why, and I'd ask you respectfully, make the switch today. PatriotMobile.com/grant. Use the promo code GRANT, as I said, for a free month service. 972-PATRIOT, 972-PATRIOT. Make sure you tell them that Grant Stinchfield sent you. So I'm excited about this story that you have for us about a guy using a dating app to break into houses. So he goes on a date that takes the girl and they become Bonnie and Clyde.
All right. So it was very funny. So, sometimes we've got all of the monitors here. We're in the newsroom. Okay, no, we have 2 monitors. We have a local news and we have a national news. So I was looking at the local news and I see this story pop up. I'm like, oh, this is right up our alley. It says guy uses dating app to steal from homes. And so I was like, wow. So I read it out loud to you as we came into a segment. And Dan said he would do the research. So I'd like to bring in our producer extraordinaire, the great Daniel West. Dan, the phone man is what we call him, because even though I've researched and found the story myself, Dan, and you did it first, and you get to deliver this story because you are going to break it here on the program.
I would like to say first, I have an alibi. I have not been on dating apps in 3 years.
Okay, good.
Okay?
Good. First of all, for many reasons, that is good for your life right now.
Yes.
All right, so Dan, what is the story here?
Hey, you want a little make an official update?
Yeah, please.
Morning Answer Studio Update.
First off, I do not condone these actions, but this is pretty brilliant as a crime.
Yeah.
So police in Orange County arrested a man accused of utilizing a dating app to burglarize a person's home when they went on a date with them. They didn't specify what dating app it was. I guess Hinge/Coffee Meets Bagel, whoever is very happy about that. So here's what happened. The suspect learned where the victim lived after picking him up, according to Santa Ana police.
Oh, and this was a boy.
Wait. See, this is always the problem. I'm telling you that you get these scary dating app stories, and it's always the gay dates. It's the man-on-man dates.
Both Grant and I at the same time went, whoop.
This was not a female burglarizing some dude's house.
That'd be a great TV show, though.
Well, I'm just reading from the SAPD. They said the suspect learned where the victim lived after picking him up. That's what they say.
Picking him up. Yeah. And have they identified the suspect?
Surveillance cameras at the victim's home captured the same man. Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Dan.
Yes. What was that, Jen?
It was just I was reading from it saying that a man was forcibly entering the home, so it was man on man.
Yes. Surveillance cameras at the victim's home captured the same man forcibly entering his home. You're correct. A week later, inside the home, the suspect went through the victim's belongings and made off with an estimated $1,000 worth of property. And in fact, if you're watching on Rumble or our video stream, Morning Answer, what is it? AM 870 or AM 590.info. Santa Ana police had something called Wanted Wednesday, where they have a bunch of pictures of the man known as Eric, who deleted his dating profile after the crime.
So there you go. Now, my guess is Eric, he's the suspect. Is that right?
Yeah, he's the suspect. Who is
my guess is the suspect probably isn't even gay. He's going on because I'm telling you, there's no checks and balances when it comes to gayness. See, men and women. I'm telling you, Jen, listen to me. This is very important.
Can I get my check, please?
No, this is very important, and it's true. It
All
gets
right,
to the biological fact.
Okay, get it.
Men are chasing sex, okay? They're chasing. You have a woman that pushes back. You've got checks and balances. We're going to do this a few dates. We're not going to just jump in the sack together. Checks and balances. You get two horn dogs going at, I mean, it's game over. So now this guy goes on a dating site, probably Grindr or something, right?
I don't know.
Luring these men who are hungry for who knows what, disgusting, okay? And then they go out to go meet up at wherever, who knows where. And this guy's slipping in like a cat burglar into the guy's house.
Yeah. Apparently,
in some respects,
brilliant.
These criminals are so smart.
If they'd only use their talent for good instead of evil, you know?
Now, the only thing dumb is you would think you'd use fake pictures on the dating app. Right.
But then they're going to know because he actually met the guy and then went back and burglared his house a week later. So they would know. That would probably raise the flag if you show up and you're a different guy. I would say what I would do, I think this guy's taking the extra step of actually meeting them. I'd set up a date, say, hey, meet me at the Cowboy Palace. We'll get a beer. And then I'd go burglarize his house while he was waiting for me. That's what I would do.
That's what they're doing, isn't it?
No, he came back a week later. This is what I'm getting
he
at.
He essentially went on the date to case the joint because he would roll up and he's like, oh, this is where you live. Okay, he's just filing notes and then he comes back.
All right, so listen to this. To pick up the date. Nobody's going on a dating site and you're picking up the person at their house.
No.
That was a sex call, and you met the guy online, and then you're rolling over to the house. Now, this, I don't think, in my experience, this doesn't happen. Women don't invite men over to their house off a dating app. There is no way that's going down. Never. So this is why you're instantly taking this out. It's checks and balances. There's no balances when it comes to guy on guy. There's none.
There you go.
I mean,
that's
what do you want from me? I know people get upset that I tell the truth.
Look, I don't disagree with you. 855-785-8255. Radar, are you standing by? At attention here. Hi, Radar.
Hi, Jen. I wanted to. There's also another scam going on out there that I'm tracking.
Okay. Oh, wait, hold on, Radar. Let me give you something here. You ready?
Scam alert. Scam alert.
Okay, now you can go. Want to make it official.
Hang on, we have a headphone issue here. Oh, there we go. Okay, so there's another scam going on where some restaurants are actually using dating apps to lure unsuspecting people to their restaurant by pretending to be, like a romantic interest.
Come
and then they figure while you're there and being stood up, you may as well eat something.
I'm meeting Bob at the Olive Garden.
So a restaurant will set up a fake dating profile.
You're being
just to
catfished
get
by
the
a
person
catfish
to meet
restaurant.
them at the restaurant and then stand them up, but you might as well have a meal while
Might
you're
as well
here.
stay and eat.
Yep.
I would do it all on the same night. That way you'd have like a little singles party. It'd be fun.
That's brilliant.
The Morning Answer Studio update.
Yes, sir, Dan.
From at Santa Ana PD on X verified. Hashtag Santa Ana PD wanted Wednesday update. Thanks to the many tips we received after today's post, the suspect has been identified and is in custody.
Yeah.
We appreciate the community's support in helping bring this matter to a close. And then they put the photo up that we had before.
Yeah.
But then in the big, wanted letters just says in custody.
In custody. So,
Great.
You know what? They needed to hold a press conference and say, we got him.
We got or just do a nice tweet, Kash Patel style, and then they'll be like, just kidding, in the next tweet.
Oh, gosh.
We don't got him.
Ay.
All right. 855-785-8255. No, Kash is doing a good job. He's under tremendous amounts of stress.
Thank God I'm not on the dating apps. Are you on the dating apps? Because we were going to sign you up for the
We're
dating
not signing me up for dating apps.
Yes,
Gosh,
I
are
think we need to do this.
No.
Why not? Why
Mike from Hollywood.
How are you, baby?
Hi, Mike.
Hey. Have I ever mentioned how entertaining you guys are?
Mike, how deep in the whiskey are you this morning?
What? I I'm wounded. What are you implying?
Nothing. I would never imply anything that you would be unscrupulous, as Gavin Newsom
Mike,
would say.
you like to weigh in on my assessment, by the way, that there's no checks and balances as there are with a traditional man and woman courting scenario?
I don't feel the need to elaborate. You're simply correct.
Oh, okay. Look he just agrees. So, Mike, how you been? What's on your mind?
Yeah, well, it's just this. I listen carefully to you guys, and not infrequently, I should say, I do have a list of my favorite things you've said.
Well, let's mark them down for crying out loud. I'm ready. Come on.
Yeah, no, you might be surprised. I'm only going to share one.
Oh, come on. You're like, there's really not much.
No, but listen, there's quite a bit. But today, my ears perked up when I heard you talking about the dating guy scam with the burglary and all that. And you said, when you read about this, and this is Jen, I quote, and I was like, wow. That made me laugh. I was like, wow.
I am brilliant, aren't I? I mean, that is, when you read my yearbook,
the audience to please.
I was like, wow. That's it. That's my quote for today. Wow. I was just stunned.
Okay, chit chat. I have something of substance to say.
Say it.
Okay.
Quick.
It bothers me. Oh, you got it. It bothers me when Donald Trump says that very talented, very, very, accomplished people have no talent. Okay? You guys have loads of talent and stamina to do what you do. It's absolutely amazing, and I admire it so much. I don't think it's true that people like Jimmy Kimmel and Colbert, no talent. None. Are you kidding me?
They have no talent.
No talent.
They have no talent. And by the way, I have a signed letter from President Trump. It literally says the opposite. It says, Grant, you're great. That's what it says.
Okay, Grant. Okay, Grant, I'm so sorry. Your credibility has dwindled. But, it is always nice to talk to you.
I have no idea what we've accomplished here, but I was like, wow, Mike. Wow.
Like, wow.
All right.
Thank you, Mike, for the phone call. Always a pleasure, I think. 855
Hadn't heard from Mike. Hadn't heard from Mike in a while.
It's been a minute or two, so we got an update.
So I think the end result of this, though, is we're going to get you on a dating app. We're going to look out for burglars.
We're going to not do any of that, but that's okay. We are going to look out for burglars, especially in my neighborhood.
I just completed 400 ADs. That's 4 rounds. So you said building a house, but I don't want to live in a little shack. I want to live in the Taj Mahal. 122 pounds of fat loss.
So hold on, what did you start at?
307 pounds. Now I'm at like 185. 2.1% skeletal muscle. All the skin is tightening up. That's the beautiful thing. The science is really legit. You just follow the program. And scientifically, you can't fail. It's just impossible.
So you could live in a shack, or you could build a beautiful cathedral or Taj Mahal.
Holy cow. John Jubilee, founder of EnergizedHealth.com. 122 pounds that gentleman lost on the Energized Health system, and he looks amazing.
No, isn't that awesome, Grant? You can tell he feels amazing. So, one of the things that we love is we get to share with people is, hey, let's get healthy on the inside with the side effect of looking amazing on the outside. And no, did you see that guy's guns? He is ripped. He is ripped like a bodybuilder after losing a human. I mean, Grant, if anybody ever watched the horse races, those guys riding those horses are about 115 pounds. That guy lost a human out of his body, 122 pounds of fat, not weight. He didn't lose any muscle. He didn't lose any hydration, but he lost 122 pounds of fat out of his body, and look how tight his skin. You saw him flexing those beautiful biceps. There was no flab. There was no flab under there, man. That dude was tight as a 17-year-old wrestler, man, a bodybuilder. He looked amazing.
Is it the intracellular hydration that allows the skin to tighten up that quickly? Because, I used to watch The Biggest Loser and all these, and these poor folks would lose all that weight, but then they need surgery to take away some of the skin and all of that. It was amazing looking at him.
Yeah. No, and Grant, I'm so glad you brought that up. Now, if you remember, those people on The Biggest Loser were excited to be going into surgery and having 30 pounds of skin. Imagine a pile of your own skin.
Whoop.
Imagine the opposite, that here you're losing as much weight, fat. Now, Biggest Loser, they only lost weight, Grant. They lost water, they lost muscle, and they lost some fat. But they were doing it the unhealthy way. At Energize Health, because our clients are only losing fat, visceral fat and subcutaneous fat, that's why it is a 1,000% game changer. It's completely different. They're getting healthy at the cellular level. They are gaining lean muscle. They're gaining healthy hydration. They only lose fat, not weight.
You know, John, I want to ask you this because you brought up visceral fat, and it's been interesting. I've been doing this with you for about a year now, maybe a little bit more. And you were the first ones to talk about visceral fat, at least with me, that I can remember. Now I'm starting to hear people talk about it. Then all of a sudden I started to hear people talk about getting hydrated at a cellular level. And I said, they're knocking off. John Jubilee at Energized Health, I know you got a patent out on this stuff. It's amazing to watch this trend, and I have to believe that you were the trend setters on all of this.
Hey, 1997. Yeah. You know, there's an old country song, I was country when country wasn't cool. We were intracellular hydration when intracellular hydration wasn't cool. We definitely were the pioneers and the founders, and we do have the only patent of intracellular hydration, how to change that body at the cellular level. And Grant, you could go back since 1997, and if you watched our original, radio shows, or they weren't even podcasts, back then, but the interviews that we did or YouTube videos we did, our message never changed for 28 years. It was, let's get optimal health at the cellular level with the side effect of losing our visceral fat, losing our subcutaneous fat, gaining our muscle, gaining our hydration. Our message has never changed. Let's get healthy with the side effect of looking great. And obviously that's what happened to that guy. He got healthy, but he looks amazing, and 122 pounds of fat loss. And let me encourage people real quick here a minute. Let me grab my little fat blob. So guys, think about this. That guy lost not 1, not 2, not 10. He lost 24 of these out of his body. He didn't lose 1 drop of hydration. He didn't lose 1 ounce of lean, healthy muscle. He only lost 24 of these ugly things out of his body. I mean, look, if you just have 1 of these to lose, you should do it. Grant lost 3. Grant lost 15. That's 3 of these, Grant, that you lost.
Yep.
So whether you need to lose 1, 3, or 30, this is the healthy way to lose these things and get them out of your body.
I always use the example, if I take a 15-pound weight, which when you first lift it up, it's not all that heavy. If you were to carry that 15-pound weight around all day long, your arm would be exhausted. And I thought to myself, I was carrying this around. If I put 15 pounds on my back and tried to walk all day with it, imagine 122 pounds that you had on you that you didn't need, carrying that around all day would be devastating to the body in so many levels. So, John, what can people do to find you, to get on the process that gentleman went through so they can have the results? And as I say, whether you just need to lose 10 pounds or 15 pounds, or you got to lose 200, Energized Health can help you. How do they find you, John?
Hey, and real quick, Grant, I want to throw this in there. Just before I came on your show this morning, a really high-level Wall Street guy, he runs a big company in Wall Street. He texted me this morning, and he said, John, I've done all my research. He said, my wife is in perfect health aesthetically. He said, she looks like a supermodel. She looks like a little healthy Barbie doll. He said, but She has diabetes. He said, I've done my research. I know you can reverse diabetes. He said, I want to sign my wife up for this program because I want her. She doesn't need to lose any weight, Grant.
Yeah.
So I want to encourage people, look, you might not have any weight to lose, but you still need to get healthy. So whether you need to just get healthy or you want to get rid of some fat, or how about this, guys? Let's do both. Let's get healthy at the cellular level, optimize your energy, get your full brain function where it really should be. And then guess what? Side effect, you're going to look your best, feel your best. Hey, I'm 65 this week, guys, 65 years old, full-blown senior citizen. I'm thrilled to be a senior citizen who has full optimal health at the cellular level and be able to help you to have your best life, your best energy. So look, here's what you do. Just go on our website. It's Energized Health, energizedhealth.com. Yep, you see it right above my head there, energizedhealth.com. And watch a little masterclass. It's about 15 minutes with my wife and I. You'll love my wife. Most genuine, authentic, funny. My wife's so funny, she can make science entertaining. So you want to get to know my wife a little bit. Watch a masterclass and then just book a free breakthrough call. Not a sales call. We have no salespeople at Energized Health. Book your breakthrough call. Ask your questions about your health, of what's going on in your health, what's going on in your life. How can we help you to have your breakthrough? So guys, that's how you do it. A couple simple steps and you can change your life.
Well, it certainly happened for me, John Jubilee. I urge everybody out there to take John's advice. Do this. Get with energizedhealth.com, energizedhealth.com. The masterclass is great, as John mentioned, and start the process. If you're unhealthy, you know it. I know you out there. You know if you're the one that's unhealthy. Take your life back before it's too late. John Jubilee, as always, thank you, my friend.
Love you, Grant.
Absolutely. Right back at you, brother. Yeah, so here's the thing. We now have this controversy brewing at the United Nations over did they sabotage President Trump?
Escalator Gate. I named it yesterday.
Escalator Gate. He asked his wife, Melania was there, how was my speech? You know what she said?
What?
I don't know. I couldn't hear it.
Yeah, the report was, and Katie Pavlich started this, actually, our colleague over at the town hall. You can check out townhall.com for your latest news. She said that they actually pulled the mic volume down so low that people were having trouble hearing him in the chamber.
So can't hear it. Then, of course, there was the teleprompter issue. It now turns out that there were people talking early on about the idea that, Trump has been so bad on a global stage to the globalist agenda that they would sabotage him.
Yeah.
If this is the case, whoever was behind that needs to be fired immediately. I don't know.
Trump's calling for an investigation. He also called for arrests, actually. But if you think about it, and yes, we will we'll hear from Caroline Leavitt here in a second. The press secretary talked about this yesterday. But if you think about it, it's dangerous, actually, the escalator thing. I mean, it seems kind of silly, but when you hit the emergency stop, people lurch forward on the escalator.
Good thing
Yeah.
was it looked like it happened at the very bottom
when
of
he
the
was just
escalator.
getting on.
He was just getting on.
There was a newspaper publication from the UK that had reported that someone had been threatening to shut the escalator down on Trump because they wanted to make the point that the United States wasn't giving enough money to the United Nations to keep the building going.
I think we ought to shut the whole thing down.
I do too. And, Trump made the point during his speech that apparently no one could hear that he's ended 7 wars without the help of the UN in 7 months. The United States has asked for help from the UN on several of these issues. Nothing has been done. So what is the functionality of the UN other than just the climate scam? I don't get it.
Well, President Trump in his speech took the fight to the UN when it came to climate. I mean, he called it a climate scam. He said people were stupid. He said the carbon footprint hoax. I mean, he was at no loss of words. His teleprompter may have been down, but he wasn't for a loss of words.
Here is Caroline Levitt from the press conference that she gave 2 days ago on what happened at the UN to President Trump. Take a listen.
Well, Jesse, that's definitely what it appears to be to me. And that's why I put out a statement earlier. There was some concerning reporting over the weekend from the London Times, as you pointed out, that UN globalist staffers were basically plotting to set up the President of the United States. And first it was the escalator, then it was the teleprompter, and then Katie Pavlich from Town Hall, who we offered a seat in the press pool to cover the president's historic speech today, noticed that the audio inside of the room was much lower and different for the president of the United States than the previous speaker. So when you put all of this together, it doesn't look like a coincidence to me. And I know that we have people, including the United States Secret Service, who are looking into this to try to get to the bottom of it. And if we find that these were UN staffers who were purposefully trying to literally trip up the president and the first lady of the United States, well, there better be accountability for those people. And I will personally see to it, Jesse.
She's going to personally march in there.
Yeah.
And heads are going to roll. I mean, literally trying to trip up the president.
It's ridiculous.
It really is. And it's childish.
Yep.
But it also amounts to sabotage. So I don't know if you could have criminal charges placed here. Mm-hmm. Certainly they're firing offenses. I would hope that the UN, what do they call him? The Inspector General or something? What is the head of the UN?
Oh, the UN.
The General Secretary?
Yeah, and it's somebody that likes Trump, too. What's his name?
It is?
Isn't it, the guy at the UN?
I don't think so.
No, okay.
That guy doesn't seem too much to be on board
General
with.
Secretary.
He's not a very nice man.
Oh, yeah. It's different. Antonio Guterres. He's the current Secretary General of the UN.
Yeah.
He probably shut the escalator off.
He might have been the one behind it. He might have been.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's that. That's the update on that.
There you go. All right, so there are some other updates in our Trump MAGA Minute featuring the Vice President, J.D. Vance, who had some tough words for Jimmy Kimmel.
He didn't actually say sorry to Charlie Kirk or his family. And the reason that so many people, including me, were so upset with what Jimmy Kimmel said is that he accused Charlie Kirk's murderer of being a MAGA or a right-wing American. It wasn't a joke. It was straight up disinformation. And I really wish Jimmy Kimmel would apologize for it.
Now, not only did he talk about that, but it seems like 25 years ago when we talked about the murder in Charlotte on the train of the Ukrainian national, 23 years old, who just had her neck slit by a man on the train saying, "I got the white girl." Well, J.D. Vance has not forgotten, even though so many things have happened since then. And he mentioned her and this case. Take a listen.
You have a violent criminal who has been arrested 14 times, often for very violent offenses, who gets on a bus with an innocent young girl, 22 years old, and slits her throat, and she dies. She died because she was coming home from work. She worked at a pizzeria. She came from a beautiful family. She had a young boyfriend. She had her entire life ahead of her, and she was actually a refugee from Ukraine. So she came from a war-torn country. She sought shelter in the United States of America, and because of soft-on-crime policies, she was murdered here, not in the war-torn country she came from. Isn't that a disgrace? And isn't that an insult to the incredible law enforcement officers who arrested this person 14 times? They did everything that they could to keep this thug off the streets, and it was the political leadership that failed, and we got to be honest about that.
Well, all right. It's true. This story still tears me up.
It's awful.
Irina Zarutska, just a gorgeous, beautiful young woman with the world in front of her. And
coming here for a better life. That's what makes me the saddest. You come here for safety, and what do you find?
That judge that let this jerk go, I almost used the A word.
Yeah.
She needs to be removed from office.
There is blood on her hands. I hate to say it, but when you have the guy's mother saying he needs to be locked up, you need to listen.
All right, folks, that is going to do it for us. I'm Grant Stinchfield. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget, Stinchfield 1776 on all the social media platforms. GrantStinchfield.com is the website. You get all the podcasts there. And please, if you're watching, subscribe to the channel. Share the channel, like the video, heck, copy and paste the link if you want to, and share it on all of your social media platforms. This is how we get the word out there. So stick with me, please. Again, GrantStinchfield.com. That's GrantStinchfield.com. Stinchfield's Army rolls because of all of you. We'll see you tonight on the Real America's Voice show. Thanks for watching, everybody.